Hey, what's up everybody?
What's up?
Welcome to another weekly Wednesday live stream. I'm Peter, and this guy you might not have seen before, or you might have. He's made an appearance, I believe, two times before.
2 times, I think, yes.
Yeah. This guy is called Robin the Groot.
Yes, the one and only. Not Vin Diesel, it's me.
Yeah, he's the real Groot.
The real one.
Yeah. Can you say, I am Groot?
Oh, yeah.
I meant in your normal voice, like...
Yeah, I know. That sounded like a very old Groot.
Yeah, like a dying tree. It's okay.
I'm sorry, guys.
All right, so Robin is one of the guys who does a lot of work behind the scenes normally. He does a lot of work with the camera and with all the movies you see us make with, product reviews, that kind of stuff. The chat's actually not... Again, not scrolling down automatically. So Robin will have to do that manually so we can actually see what you guys are saying. Anyway, we're glad to have him on the stream today. He discerned... Oh, your name is now Groot, by the way, I see. So that's nice. Sarge T says, hi, Peter and Groot. Hi, Sarge. All right, so anyway, we wanted to give him a moment in the spotlight as well. See how he does.
Yeah, so what did you guys think of the key visual? The visual you saw on the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
The announcement?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah, he made that. I was just the guy in the picture, but he did all the photoshopping. And trust me, there was a hell of a lot of photoshopping that went into that. Today we're going to be talking about how to upgrade your graphics card. And as you can see, I've got a very nice PC right here. We're going to use this as an example. Maybe you can pull up the specs already if you want, Robin. Then, we can see...
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Yeah, there we go. All right, so today's system, I'm not going to tell you all the details. You can read them there. But most of the important parts are, of course, it's got an i9 and 9900K, which is pretty damn spicy. It's built on an MEG Z390 godlike motherboard. So that's one of our most ridiculous motherboard that we have, as in high end. And a whole lot of other stuff. The case you're seeing, I already saw some people commenting on it. It's the Sekira 500 case. So that's 500S? I don't know. You need to ask Mike for that kind of stuff. Anyway, it's really nice case, or X it is, 500X. So, and I'll be showing you guys a little bit more of the insides as we go through it, of course. But this case, it's pretty damn good. But the point of the build is basically you should be able to see there should be nothing that's bottlenecking the graphics card. Because I'm going to be showing you guys some benchmarks as well. So the point here is you've got a pretty okay build, or in this case, a really, really good build. It's just your graphics card is holding you back a bit. And so you want to upgrade. What do you do? Before we go into that, of course, we have a giveaway. So, Robin, if you would be so kind.
Yeah, sure. So, you can participate, join our giveaway by visiting msi.com/2/insider and click on the button which states participate, and
yes,
off you go.
Something about giveaway, anything flashing up, giveaway, just click it. It'll ask you to do a couple of things like subscribe to our channel, stuff like that. If you guys already did that, you just, I think, have to click subscribe and you'll be automatically in for the win. So you can win a $20 Steam wallet code, which is especially nice because, of course, earlier today, Steam sales, summer sales started. So, you can get a lot more for your $20. And the giveaway should be open. I see some people asking. Yes, it's open. If you can't see it yet, Robin will also post the direct link in the chat for you guys. So you can join that way. Don't worry about it. And but today, so I'm not only going to tell you about how to upgrade your graphics card, as in how to do the physical act of upgrading it, because that's, in the end, relatively simple. I'm also going to try and give you some advice on how to choose from all the different models, starting with, of course, the GPU, because that's pretty much what determines the performance that you can expect. But in the end, also, what version you should choose, which is always the best, always the highest version, Okay, I see the link is in the chat. I think it's easy upgrading. Yeah, so also tell us in the chat if you have experience upgrading your graphics card, if you run into any trouble, or if you have any tips for your fellow viewers. That's what this stream is all about. That is a new MSI case indeed, Mixo Gaming. You've never seen that before. Well, you might not have. I don't know. It was already at Computex as well, so there should be some coverage on it, but it is still very new. So, yeah, you'd be forgiven to not have seen it before. I'm new around here, says Kingslayer. Welcome. Hiya back. And yeah, so if you have any questions, by the way, do drop them in the chat. We'll try and answer them as good as possible. We've already seen one here, BitGamerX saying, what do you do about GPU sagging? Well, the cards themselves are built so sturdy these days, they shouldn't sag. And even if they do, the really heavy ones, they come with a GPU support. So something you can actually mount under the card that will support its weight across the length of the card. All right, so let's get into it.
Yeah, let's kick off.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's start with I've prepared a few slides just to keep it interesting and then create an overview for you guys. So let's go to those. So here we go. Today is all about how to upgrade your graphics card. Here are basically the steps. So the things you need to consider. One, and this is a big one, is your monitor resolution. Ja has done a couple of streams already on all the great monitors we have, but this has a lot of impact on the card you should buy, because if you are trying to run 4K in games, you need a lot more horsepower in your graphics card. If you're just running on full HD 1080p, you can get away with much more entry-level model. You don't have to spend quite as much money, but we'll dive into these one by one later on, so you don't have to go and write this down. The types of games you play are also important. AAA titles are much more demanding than competitive games or older games. Also, the rest of your PC specifications. This can be the power supply. Can it handle a powerful card? Does it have enough juice? But also simply the connectors. Does it have enough and the right type of connectors to power up your card? But also the card itself, graphics cards are getting bigger and bigger. Does it actually fit in the case physically? And the rest of your hardware configuration. I saw some people already in the chat saying something about, I've got this kind of PC. Does it make sense to upgrade to a 2080 Ti? Well, if you've got, an Intel Celeron in their processor, yeah, probably that's not going to do much for you. So, it has to be sensible. This for me is I think the big one, the most difficult one to answer as well, because it's a very case-by-case answer usually. There's not really a rule of thumb that can, be an answer to all the questions. And, well, pretty much last but not least, budget. What do you have to spend on a card, or what do you want to spend on it? So that's also something that can pretty much determine what your choices are. And then after all of this, pretty much you're down to, all right, so which version, do I want a gaming? Do I want armor? Do I want a trio, Juke? Do I want water cooling, Seahawk? Do I want a lightning? So yeah, that's the choice after this. So today, we're going to be upgrading the PC from the card that's in there right now is a GTX 980 Gaming 4G. And the card that we're going to be putting into that today is this beastly 2080 Ti Lightning. So this really is a friggin' beast. I mean, you guys probably know about it. It's triple slot as well, so this makes it extra interesting, as in you have to watch the physical dimensions of the card, and also it has 3 8-pin connectors. So also for the power supply requirements and the PCIe power plugs, you need to make sure you have enough of them. So we thought this would make the best case scenario to show you the most demanding card pretty much you can put into it. Can I have the 980 after it's been upgraded? I want to run SLI. Well, no, we need it for our museum. You know, we took it out of the museum, but it needs to go back in there. Sorry about that. Let's see if we can, you know. But by a small case, can you get power or thermal throttle? Well, yeah, it depends. You need to make sure you have good airflow. That's, I think, the key. So as long as you have good airflow and the heat that the card produces can actually be ejected out of the case, you should be okay. It shouldn't thermal throttle, but there's always a chance. So
lots of great reactions.
Yeah,
that there is what I call a beast.
Yeah. I mean,
it is.
It's meant to be. So this is the thing, the card that, you know, pretty much all of us just dream about having. I mean, we have it at the office. It's our sample. It's unfortunately it's not one of our own cards, but yeah, I mean, this thing, it's just a beast. All right, so maybe we can go back to the presentation. So step one, guys, monitor resolution. Whenever somebody comes up to me, for example, and asks, hey, I want to upgrade, you know, one of my friends, and the first question I ask them, okay, so what kind of monitor resolution are you using? And a lot of the times they don't even know, because they're not that much into hardware as I am. But yeah, it makes a big difference. So full HD, you can get away with, well, more entry-level cards, so it doesn't cost quite as much money. 4040p, you're already up to something like, I don't know, 2060, 2070, can run it quite fine. 4K, well, you know, it should be a minimum of 2080 or 2080 Ti if you want to do that properly, if you want to game on it, I should say. Because, you know, even integrated GPUs these days can handle office work pretty much at 4K. So, but if you really want to do some gaming, yeah, you need some serious horsepower there, especially at decent FPS. By the way, we're using some new microphones today, actually last stream as well. You might be able to see we've got some lav mics here. So let us know what you think of the sound of this stream as well, if it's okay for you. We're trying to improve it, so we hope this helps. Maybe, I don't know if you guys can hear Groot very well.
So let us know, guys.
Yeah. He's actually one of the guys who helps us out with the sound a lot. So he's kind of an engineering type behind the scenes, mostly. So let us know if the sound's okay. All right, then moving on. So the monitor resolution, again, I've put some models here just for an indication. So at the moment, actually, this stream, of course, we're limited to Full HD or 1080p. So we're going to be using a 1080p monitor. So right next to me on the table here, I've got the Optics MPG 27C, which is a Full HD model. But the MPG means it still has a lot of the premium features like the game sense. For 4040p, I think one of the best models we have at the moment is the MAG 271CQR. If there's a Q in the name of the monitor, by the way, guys, Ja has said this as well, of course. It means it's 1440p or Quad HD. And then, of course, we've got our one and only 4K monitor, which Ja covered recently in one of his streams as well, which is the MAG 321CURV, or Curve, if you will. So yeah, just some suggestions that we have for monitors if you're looking to do an MSI setup. Next question I would ask them when they've answered the question about the monitor resolution. What kind of games do you play? Because many of them just, I'm just playing some League of Legends, Dota, CSGO, or competitive games pretty much. And they would be surprised to learn that actually for most games, you don't need that much graphical horsepower, even at higher resolutions, but especially competitive games are usually not played at high resolutions. So, using a 2080 Ti to run League of Legends on a 1080p monitor, that's not really going to do much for you. So, yeah. But then again, people don't usually play just one single game. So the answer I get is, well, I want to play both. I want to play AAA games when, for example, Cyberpunk 2077 comes out. You want to be able to play that and enjoy all the graphical beauty it comes with in a smooth setting, if possible. See if Keanu can make it more interesting for you. But yeah, so that's when you really want to make sure you've got the graphical horsepower to push that FPS. So yeah, then 2080 Ti might not be wasted money for you. So again, the question is, what do you expect this card to be able to handle? Do you want to play the AAA titles, or are you pretty much just playing competitive games? You don't really care about the AAA. Big difference. Then the budget, of course. What is your budget? One person will say, well, I can just spend my whole month's allowance or salary on it, no problem. And another person might be limited to saying, well, if I can only afford to spend like $150 or euros or something, which is quite entry level. So again, this also really determines on what you're willing to spend or what you're able to spend. And we understand not everybody has unlimited money. It would be nice if everybody had, if there was a cheat for that. Unfortunately, that stuff only happens in games.
Yep.
So yeah, you are unfortunately forced to think about this kind of stuff and see what you can or what you're willing to put into it. But that's why it's important to think about these things, especially the other two questions, because this also lets you think about, when you're spending this money, what are you getting from it? Because I've had friends, in the setting I told you, like they're just playing League of Legends or something like that, and they bought at that time a 980 Ti. Which was also a waste of money, pretty much. I told them that, and they were in the end disappointed, because they said, well, I was expecting, well, they weren't really sure what they were expecting. They just thought it's a better card, so everything should be better. But that's not how it always works. So that's why it's good to know before you spend the money, what can I expect, and what am I getting for my money? Totally worth the money, definitely. All right. And then, once you've determined that, later on I'm going to show you guys inside the case, so all of the constraints like the size and the connectors and stuff like that. So we'll do that as we physically remove the card and replace it. But once you've determined this and you buy the card, you get it at your home, then what do you do? Because, you still need to replace it. So first I want to cover the steps in theory, basically, and then we're going to do it physically here. So first thing you do is probably turn off the PC, unplug the thing and rip out the old graphics card, right? Wrong. What you should do is uninstall your display drivers first. I can't tell you how many times I've had problems because people replace their graphics card without uninstalling their NVIDIA or AMD drivers first. And they had some kind of stability issues or some kind of performance issues. And then in the end, when they reinstalled the drivers, everything worked just fine. So it's a great way to prevent any of that kind of frustration or trouble happening. So usually it's best to just use a program like DDU, which is short for Display Driver Uninstaller. It's free. You can Google it. I think it's on guru3d.com website. And it's a very easy tool. I'll show you later on as well, because we're going to do it, to wipe all of the drivers and then make sure that you have a clean slate when you install the new graphics card.
Peter, you
Yes.
forgot step one. Mixo Gaming says you forgot step one. Unbox the card and kiss it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's true. Some people would say unbox the card and kiss your money goodbye, but that's also a thing you can do.
Yeah.
And don't forget, especially with MSI cards, when you have a gaming card or something, it has a sticker on it on the fans, which says "remove before gaming," and they really mean that, because that sticker, the whole point of that sticker is basically to point out to you guys that the fans can stop when they're in the PC and when the PC is on. This is, of course, zero Frozr feature, which means that below a certain temperature, the fans will stop spinning because the card doesn't actively need cooling. So this is just something to reduce any kind of noise. But some people have actually, I've heard of people, returning their card because they thought, well, the fans aren't spinning, so it must be broken. Of course, that wasn't the case. But then again, back when when they did that, this feature wasn't quite as common. Now it's quite common among graphics cards.
So Eder21 is saying upgrading from NVIDIA to NVIDIA is not necessary. Never had any issues.
Yeah.
Well,
you can. I mean, we tried it before as well, and You're right. Most of the time, it should be okay. It's quite stable. But again, it's something that there's a chance that something is going to screw up. So you don't have to do it, and you can do it afterwards. But we really advise you to do it before you replace the graphics card. Just make sure, because it's a small effort. Doesn't take that much time, as you'll see. But it's just something that will basically shut out any kind of possible mistakes. So. Any other good questions or remarks?
Let me see.
DDU is the best for uninstalling NVIDIA and AMD GPU drivers. Very clean uninstall. Yeah,
sure.
that's why it's an industry standard, really. It's everybody uses it. I never unbox it until ready to uninstall it. Hashtag dust-free OCD. Ninja tweet. Yeah, I mean, you need to keep it dust-free. That's actually one of the next points that we're going to see. Because you'll freaking hate this, especially a lot of people who I used to be like this as well. I had a system when I was young, and I didn't even know what the inside of a PC looked like, let alone that I open it up. So a lot of people will have this experience when they've had a PC for a couple of years, and then when they take it to a repair shop or something like that, or a shop to upgrade it, and they'll open it up, and there's like a whole bunch of dust and hairs, and if you've got pets, it's actually worse.
Yeah, well. Over here, the dust is starting to have its own life.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually
something from Stranger Things.
Yeah, something like that. It's something out of a horror movie, maybe Ghostbusters can be. But this actually might be a fire hazard, and this is a very bad case scenario, of course. But it does happen. Screaming Dad says, "Holy dust, that gives me anxiety." Yeah, I know, that is gross. And again, this is quite an extreme case, but it does happen. And dust is bad for multiple reasons. One, if it gets this bad, it's actually a fire hazard. And secondly, it really, really hurts your thermal performance, which means the whole PC will heat up much more. And as a result, your performance will decrease because of thermal throttling, of course. So yeah, that shouldn't happen. So basically what I'm saying is when you're upgrading your PC and you've uninstalled the drivers or not, your choice, power down your PC, of course. You should always power it down. Make sure all the cables are disconnected. But when you're in there anyway, when you've opened it up and you're in there anyway, why not give it a good clean if you see any dust, and be careful about this, don't just take your Dyson or whatever and just, hoover around the place. Be careful because they are electronics. It can be susceptible to damage, so don't, bump into anything. Some electronics, especially older ones, are also still susceptible to static electricity discharge. So make sure you're careful about that. Newer electronics, especially the PCBs and stuff like that, motherboards, graphics cards, actually have built-in protection. So ESD, the static protection, doesn't really happen anymore. But just to be safe, the best way to do it is just make sure you touch some, like the side or something, a metal part of the case. That will easily, dissipate any static electricity you might be charged with. So just to prevent that issue. Any good questions? Because I'm kind of going, the right word is gruesome. Yeah. Any other things? Did you sneak up to my desk to take a picture of the internals of my system?
Yes.
Yeah, Mike, yeah. Shame on you, man. For shame. You shouldn't let your cats, nest in your PC. That's not a good thing. I know it's nice and warm, and cats like warm places, but, it's not safe. Edward is saying most of the new cases have dust filters. Fortunately, that's correct. So that means that mostly the dust is being kept out of the internals, but that means that you still have to clean the dust filters every now and again, or else they'll clog up the intake or exit of air. So that also means bad airflow. So the best thing is to just every now and again just make sure you clean it, check it. All right, so move on to the next point. The airflow, of course. Make sure you have good airflow. I really love those Gamers Nexus videos where they test the airflow and take a look at cases like that. But it is very important, especially with the powerful hardware like 2080 Ti or a 9900K from Intel, or any of the upcoming Ryzen CPUs, the Navi GPUs that are coming up. It doesn't matter what system you have. you always need to make sure there's good airflow, because if the heat gets trapped in the case, you'll have a bad time. That's pretty much it. How are both the data presentation of the new GPU, AMD and NVIDIA? Well, Seamus, I believe that AMD has already announced that they will have availability of their Navi GPU. So I'm actually still getting used to the naming. So the 5700 XT and the 15700.
Yes.
Okay. So the Navi cards, basically, that's what we use for short, their code name. It should be available from the 7th of July. So the 7th of the 7th. That's next. Is it next week? No? Well, anyway, it's very soon. And NVIDIA, well, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, to be fair, we know, but we're not allowed to tell you. No. So, unfortunately. But yeah, it won't be that long. That you can be damn sure about. Does a graphics card work when you don't have any drivers? Good question.
Yeah, good question.
It shouldn't, but it does sometimes. But it's not an ideal situation. Windows has a tendency to install drivers on its own. When it's connected to the internet and it detects, hey, I've got a graphics card in here and there's no drivers for it, it will try to search for drivers and install them. Usually they will be outdated drivers, so we don't recommend that you do that. Sometimes you can't really stop it though. But then if that happens, it's always best to just go to the website of, for example, NVIDIA or AMD Radeon and make sure you get the latest drivers from them, because they will always have a newer version with more performance optimizations and stuff like that. I should change my name to Batman?
Yeah,
is my voice that deep?
No, I'm today's sidekick, so...
Oh, Robin,
you know?
yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, man. That took a while to drop. That penny, man. Woo. All right, yeah. I'm Batman. We can do that. Batman and Robin.
So, any questions?
Phil Mitchell, damn, you're late. Well, you didn't miss that much yet, don't worry. And you can always watch it back. So if you are afraid you missed anything and you still want to check it, you can check it after the stream, of course. You can just go back and watch the whole stream again.
So, let me see. Lots of entries already.
Nice, yeah.
For the giveaway.
Yeah, maybe we can highlight it again. Maybe we can even draw a winner if you want.
Let me see. Okay, guys, so go to msi.com/2/insider and participate by clicking on the button. And if you can't find the button, I will post it here in chat right away.
And you can click there. Basically, it'll ask you to subscribe to our channel, of course, and follow us. Maybe like a few things. Nothing complicated. If you've already done that, you'll be automatically in for the win. And you can win a $20 Steam voucher wallet code. So yeah, and with the Steam summer sale underway, that's extra nice.
Very nice.
Have you got any games on your wish list at the moment?
Not at this moment. No. I'm a little bit busy as of late.
Really?
Yes, because my house is, well, a bit under construction, so no money, no time,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Doing the manual labor.
Yes, I am.
All right. I mean, it has to happen if you own a house at some point. All right. So maybe can you draw the first winner, if you like?
Let me see.
See if we can make somebody really happy.
Let's see.
In the meantime, I'm just looking at the chat as well. So how about you also upgrade my graphics card? I'd love to do that. I mean, but follow this stream and it should be easy peasy for you. Do we have a winner?
So our first winner is called Knight. Nickname is Knight.
Ooh. Sir Knight.
Congratulations. And you won the giveaway code, the first one.
Yeah. So the $20 Steam code, we'll get that to you probably in the coming days. Definitely before the end of the Steam summer sale. Don't worry about it. But yeah, congratulations, Knight. Again, guys, if you want to participate, there are still some codes to give away this stream. Go to msi.com/2/insider or just click on the link that is in the chat. for the direct link to the giveaway. And don't miss a chance to win some nice Steam dollar.
All right.
All right. So yeah, airflow, guys, and yeah, I mean, airflow is so important. You really need that. If you win, you have to tell us what you bought, BitGamerX says. So that's a nice try. I don't think everybody wants to do that. And, you know, coming back to the topic, I always see people saying, I'm disappointed with this year's sales, you know, the sales event. I don't know. You know, I'm always tempted to buy games, you know, because when I scroll through it, I'm like, oh, yeah, I always wanted to try that one. Oh, and that one too. But then again, I also remember, and everybody will have this, you know, like your Steam library is still full of things that you bought once, so you thought, all right, I'm going to play that at some point, but you never did. So it's always a case of, damn, I really want to play that, but in the end, you end up not really having time for it or just forgetting about it. But, you know, that's the whole thing about the Steam sales. I'm so ready for Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, I mean, me too, Cyberkill. That's something I think everybody's excited for, yes. Unless you hate Keanu Reeves. Then you really think, all right, well, that the game itself, fine, but Keanu's in it, so no.
Well, he's not the main character, right?
No. Yeah, he's actually just a supporting character. I'm really surprised about that.
Yeah.
Because he's such a big personality, and he's just one of the guys that's just, you know, one of the guys in the game, or at least as far as I can tell.
I think he's a gamer too.
He has to be. If you look at his you know, previous movies as well, you know, The Matrix, and yeah, there's a lot of things there. I wouldn't be surprised, although I don't really know. He seems too down to earth and too, you know, sober of a person to you know, be all jacked up on games and stuff.
Well, at least he did on E3, right? So
yeah, and I mean, he's, you know, sometimes they ask actors to come and promote a game, and, you know, everybody's like, okay, yeah, it's that actor or it's that famous person. But everybody knows that they don't know the first thing about games or gaming, and they're just there because they're being paid to do it. But, you know, the response that Keanu got, and I don't know, maybe everybody just assumes he knows about it. It did seem that he knows about it as well, but yeah, I don't know. It's really nice.
It was breathtaking.
Yeah, you're breathtaking.
No, that was awesome.
I mean, that's the meme right there. All right, I'm so ready for a new MSI graphics card. Well, so are we. So is this thing. So let's get this back on track. All right, airflow. After that, well, you know, it's the physical act, and I'll show you this later as well. We've got a pretty well, I think decent is an understatement. We've got a hell of a motherboard in here, and I've put that one on the slide as well. It's our godlike motherboard, Z390, which is a pretty ridiculous motherboard. But the point is, some people don't know this, but you've got the slots on the motherboard, the PCIe slots, which are indicated in yellow there. And, well, basically you'd think, well, all of them fit, so I can just put it anywhere, right? Well, the rule of thumb here is that usually you have to take the slot closest to the CPU because it has the shortest lanes then to the CPU, which ensures optimal performance. So it's always best to take the slot closest to the CPU. Next to that, you can see that, especially on the higher-end MSI boards, they have a bit of metal shielding around the PCIe slots. This is what we call steel armor. Not all of them have the metal shielding on the slot itself, but they will still have what I'm about to tell you, which is what you see on the top right. They have extra welding points, or how do you say it? Soldering points, that's it, on the board itself, which means that the slot actually can take about 4 times as much weight or force before anything bad happens. Because the graphics cards, of course, have been getting progressively bigger and heavier. And normally, when you just put a graphics card in there and you don't move the case at all, you don't move the PC, you know, nothing's going to happen. But if you move the case, if you have to move house, if you go to a LAN party, whatever, and you have, like, you go over a bump or whatever, and your graphics card just, you know, jumps around in your case, that can cause some serious damage. So it's mostly for those cases, and these are extreme cases. But yeah, that you want to make sure that nothing bad can happen. You know, it's just something that, whoops, press the button there. something that you don't want to happen. So just to make sure, most of our motherboards, maybe even all of our motherboards, Mike will know this, have reinforced PCIe slots just in case. And yeah, I mean, other motherboards sometimes, they still should be fine, to be honest, if they don't have it. But again, it's like just that extra bit of safety. I want to buy an MSI GTX 1650 when I turn on my PC. Do my graphics card work? That's an interesting question. Well, if you follow the steps in this stream, then it should.
It should work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So more questions coming.
Yep. Pro tip: keep the shipping foam to use for transport. Yeah, that's actually not a bad tip, Ninja Tweet. So yeah, if you have to move your case around a lot, if you go to LAN parties, I've seen this indeed. If you buy a full system, at least, you usually get it gets shipped with some foam inside to make sure that all the components stay in place. But you have to take it out, of course, before you actually turn on the PC, because it will stop air from going through. But yeah, if you then again have to move it, you can put it back in temporarily. So that's actually a pretty good tip, yeah. But if you build your PC yourself, usually you don't get that kind of packing or shipping foam. So yeah, you have to make do with other stuff.
So Crazy Ferroni is saying even my RAM slots have steel armor.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So because it works really well, and it's not just. I mean, for graphics cards, for the PCIe slots, it's more about preventing damage and supporting the weight of these cards more, and making sure in any case it doesn't damage. For the RAM slots, and this board actually has it as well, this godlike, it also has DDR4 steel armor, which is also, it's more about shielding there. And also just a little bit of protection. But obviously, I mean, these RAM modules don't get that heavy that they're actually physically going to cause damage. So it's more about protection there, if I'm correct, and also maybe even a little bit of signal shielding. So similar principle, a little bit different in terms of the benefits you get from it. All right. Then, well, you already saw this slide a little bit. I've done this before. I don't know if you had this experience where, you just
definitely
you upgrade the graphics card, or at least, you connect your PC and you just search for the first display connector you can find and just put it in. And, you turn on the PC, you boot a game, and then you're like, what the hell is this? The FPS is like potato level. It's 10, 15 FPS. I thought I had a 2080 Ti in here. What the hell is this? And in the end, it turns out you might have accidentally plugged your monitor into your motherboard instead of your graphics card.
Yeah, common mistake.
It happens to the best of us. It's not unthinkable, especially because, very often, especially if you do this a lot, usually you just want to, get it over quick with, and you think, yeah, whatever, just plug everything in, blah, blah, blah. And so it can happen that the first slot you see with, for example, a DisplayPort or an HDMI is on the motherboard. So yeah, make sure you don't make that mistake. And even if you do find that you get subpar performance, not what you expected, just check to make sure that, yeah, if you built the PC yourself, that you didn't, if somebody else did it, that they didn't accidentally plug it into the motherboard. Because
I think this happened to me a while ago with the MSI Trident.
Yeah.
Which has...
that's especially confusing.
On the motherboard, but also VR and... Yeah. Also HDMI on the VGA.
Well, for the pre-built systems, and this is true, it can be difficult to find, where exactly is the graphics card. If you know what you're looking for, and okay, so I'm looking for like 2 slots, and there should be only display connectors, then it's quite easy to find. But especially a lot of the custom cases, the finished systems that you buy, sometimes it can be hard because they will, move around connectors and stuff like that on the outside of the case. So yeah, that can make it difficult for you. I did that once. The screen didn't even turn on. Yeah, I mean, Here's the thing: a lot of the CPUs these days also have integrated graphics, and they're decent. You know, again, they're good enough to do office work. They'll give you image on the screen, but for gaming, they don't. They're not that good. I think especially the higher end CPUs these days, they don't have, because they want to focus on raw performance.
Yeah, sure.
So they don't have the integrated GPUs in it. So indeed, then if your CPU doesn't have an integrated graphics card, and you plug it into the motherboard, you won't even get any image. It'll just, your screen will just remain black. And you'll be panicking, because you'll be like, what the hell did I do wrong? Is something broken? And trust me, we've all been there, because, your mind just starts rattling. I didn't break anything, did I? Holy crap, I hope I didn't break anything, because this is expensive. But yeah, it happens. Then once you've put everything in place and you put the connectors in the right slots, you've plugged your monitor into your graphics card, not your motherboard, then it's time to reinstall the display driver. So for Radeon cards, of course, it's called Adrenaline, and you can get it directly from their website. I think you can get it from our website as well if you get MSI cards, but there's always a bit of latency when they're updated. So basically, it's always best to just get it directly from, in this case, Radeon or NVIDIA. NVIDIA, of course, you can use GeForce Experience, which will also help you to update automatically. It will keep track. And if there's a newer driver with updated profiles, it'll tell you. So that's always good. And after that, you're pretty much home free. That's pretty much it. Then it should work. If not, then try and retrace your steps and see if you forgot anything. So yeah. In that case, you're lucky to even boot to Windows. Yeah. Yeah, Edward has a good point. He says not all PCIe slots are actually wired. It's called X16 or X8 or X4 or even X1, I believe. I'm not sure if many motherboards actually have that. Because, there's the physical size, which is basically the length of the slot. I can actually put it back on the screen here. Here we go. So you have the long slots. I don't know. Okay, look, I have a mouse. So you have the long slots, and this is the form factor. So the form factor could be X16, which is full length, basically. But not all of the connectors, indeed, the sockets are wired to support 16X. So some of them might be only supporting 8X, which for the current generation of graphics cards should still be okay, I have to add, but we don't advise to put it in there just because it can cause trouble. So it's always best to make sure and check your motherboard manual for that, which slots are X16. Mostly, and I think it's like 99 or 100% of the cases, the top slot, so the one closest to the CPU, that's why we advise to always use that one. That one should always be X16 on recently good motherboards. But yeah. Well, there's a whole discussion about if you plug in a graphics card, if the iGPU is disabled, yes or no. Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly how it works, but I'm pretty sure once you install the graphics card. Here's the thing: if you plug into the graphics card and it has the monitor, if you plug it into the graphics card and you have drivers installed, it'll always use the graphics card. And the iGPU is pretty much only used when you plug your display into your motherboard. So that's pretty much, I guess, you kind of directly influence if your iGPU is enabled or not, if you're using that instead of the graphics card. Manic Dream is saying, "Can you help me out?" I didn't see your question, Manic. If you can repeat it, or if you can simply ask it, we'll see if we can provide you with an answer or some help.
Someone is saying, "What about Mac, such as new iMac?" Well, we didn't talk
Apple.
about Apple products right now.
I mean, well, To be honest, hardware-wise, they are very similar. As in, they use NVIDIA or AMD graphics cards. They use Intel or AMD processor. I'm not 100% sure. It tends to switch every now and again. But so internally they use very similar hardware, but their configurations are very different, and also their motherboards tend to be custom made. So they'll have much more scalability, and there's much more oriented towards content creation and productivity, not so much towards gaming, for example. So it's a very specific use case, and it's very hard to compare in that sense.
Yeah, and sometimes those GPUs are custom built, I think.
I don't know, actually. It could be for really integrated solutions, but if you're looking at like their tower solution, I don't know what it's called. But anyway, so their full tower basically, the cheese grate, if you're familiar with that design, that one has a pretty standard layout in terms of what it can do. The motherboard is custom, but I think in terms of graphics card, it can just fit regular graphics cards. But if you're talking about I think it was iMac, the integrated ones into the panel, those ones tended to have either like a mobile GPU or in some cases a full size one that was just inside the housing of the product. So even though you couldn't see it and you would think, wow, it's all custom and stuff, if you'd open it up, it would still be relatively comparable hardware.
Okay.
Yeah, surprisingly. Oh, Mixo, you like the stream? Yeah, please do more about how to do this and that about PCs. Yeah, that's what we would like to hear. I mean, again, a lot of people might know this, or you might think you know a lot of these things, but in my experience, there's a lot of times still some stuff that you might not know, or some tips and tricks that you might think, oh, that's actually quite handy. I didn't know that. No matter how experienced you are. But we're happy that you're enjoying it, so that's good. All right. Do they read chat? Yes.
Actually, yes.
Chidu67.
Hi, Ben.
Where is MSI even based, by the way? Well, in a lot of countries. Our headquarters, like a lot of computer companies, I would say, is based in Taiwan, Taipei. But we have a lot of local offices across the world. So there's a lot of countries we have offices and local representatives in. We are based in the Netherlands, so you might at some point catch some of our accents.
Yeah, I guess
it happens.
Figured, yeah.
All right. So let's continue then, because that's pretty much the slide thing I've got for you. So we can go back to the main cam if you want.
Okay.
Now then comes the process of actually upgrading it. However, before we do that, I just want to quickly do a benchmark with the current graphics card in it. So again, like I said, it's and you can see I'll prove it to you. I've got MSI Afterburner installed in here.
So guys, to be clear, this isn't a cloaking device.
No. It's chroma key. So this is an RGB case, there's RGB stuff in there, a lot of RGB stuff, which tends to turn green as well, because surprisingly, the G in RGB stands for green. Right. Go figure. Anyway, so unfortunately, this thing doesn't come with a cloaking device unless you have got chroma key on. Then it does come with a cloaking device. Sorry, go back to the capture if you want, because then I can show them some stuff.
Okay.
Yes. So I've got Afterburner right in here. You can see we've got a GeForce GTX 980, which is, if I'm not mistaken, was it 2014? This particular model, as you'll see when I take it out, is the gaming card with the Twin Frozr 5 cooler. Good days, actually. Happy days back then. Really good generation of cards as well. Then let's just do a quick benchmark. So I'm going to use superposition, especially because for older cards this will be quite a challenge. But especially for the card we're going to put in there, that's going to give at least a good image of, you know, how much we've actually gained in terms of performance. If we have some time left, I might do some real game benchmark as well, but let's see. I'm going to choose the 1080p Extreme preset because, well, of course, we're streaming on 1080p, but also if I go to up to 4K, what you can see is the VRAM actually requirement exceeds the VRAM of the card. So we're not going to risk that. It might actually be okay, but just to be sure, I'm going to run the 1080p Extreme. And I know that 1080p for a 2080 Ti is bonkers. You know, you shouldn't really do that, but hell. So we're going to run the benchmark.
So when this card released, isn't that the time you started working at MSI?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, 2014 is when I joined MSI, which feels like a long time ago because, you know, just been working here for so long. I've seen a lot of product generations come by, and it's just a great time.
And MSI.
Oh, there you go. Edward's figured it out. September 2014, almost 5 years old.
Wow.
This card, indeed.
So let's see how it goes.
Yeah. Lateral Music had an MSI gaming GTX 970 before. Yeah, I had that card as well. That one was really, really good. And I remember, you know, back then, the card was really great. And then some guys figured out that in some very specific cases, like 500 megabytes of the VRAM would be slower. And there was a whole thing about it. But I really thought, well, what changed about the card? It's still exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
It's great. You know, I was still enjoying it. The thing you had to do was not, you know, try and overload it to the point where it actually started to cause problems. And at that point, there were very few or almost no games that would actually do that. So, but it was a fun time. How to work at MSI? Well, apply. You know, on our website you can find. I think we have a career thing there, like a button, and you can see if there are any jobs near at an office near you. And if there are, you know, feel free to apply. Oh, the 970 100 million edition. Oh man, I remember that one. That was to celebrate that we sold over 100 million NVIDIA GPU-based graphics cards.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this also this was 2015, I think, somewhere in 2015. But that was a milestone and a half. Yeah, it was the first PC I had ever built. I had it for 4 years though. Yeah, so if you buy a good PC, like Leverel says, you know, it can easily last you a couple of years before you have to upgrade. And then even, I think he's just saying that he upgraded from a 970 to a 1070, you know, so it's not like he had to replace the whole thing. And that's, I think, one of the big advantages. If you know how to upgrade, and especially the past couple of years, the graphics card was the biggest thing you could upgrade. And you know, the motherboard, the memory, maybe SSD, you know, that would also make a big difference. But in terms of the rest, you know, if you have a 4-year-old PC now, as in with the motherboard, the CPU, the memory, I think you should still be fine just by upgrading
for games,
the graphics card.
Yeah. Sure.
And I don't know if many people know this, so that's also why, you know, we just want to point this out. You don't have to buy a whole new PC if you know, you don't get enough frames in Fortnite, whatever. All right.
And there we go.
Yeah, we've got, okay, I'm going to write this down. So we've got 2700. That's a nice number, nice fixed number. 2600. With an average FPS of 19.5, let's say. 19.45. FPS.
So that's not great for gaming, but maybe it's great for superposition.
No, actually, well, I mean, it's not bad. But, you know, it depends on what the score will be with our new card, of course. And, you know, remember, there's, when did the Lightning launch? It was beginning of this year, right? So that's like 4.5 years of difference between these two.
Right. Yeah.
So, we should expect to see some pretty significant gains. And for the money you would have to spend to get a 2080 Ti, let alone a Lightning, I mean, you should expect some pretty decent gains.
Well, I better hope so.
Yes. Yeah. And rightly so. Okay. Yeah. Let's see. So we're just gonna keep it at the one benchmark for now, because now then I'm actually gonna go through the rest of the process. However, if you are planning on upgrading and you are about to open the PC, I don't really recommend that you run a benchmark before you do it, because the card will get hot. And you have to physically get it out of the case. So this is again one of those practical tips where I've had this many times, where I just thought, I'll just do a quick benchmark and I'll swap it out, and you burn your fingers, because these things can get hot. I mean, in this case, I opened up MSI Afterburner because it shows you the temperature and stuff like that. It's now at 39 degrees, which is pretty okay. I think that's, it'll feel warm. But it won't burn my hands.
So if you want to use your mobile phone's fingerprint scanner, don't touch the VGA right away.
Yeah, exactly, because then you won't be able to open your phone anymore. You need face recognition and that kind of stuff. By the way, the temperature that it reached during the benchmark is only 64, 65 degrees. So that's also pretty decent for a card from September 2014, actually. And I can tell you that this card has been through hell and back, because this is it was our test card, and it still is at some point. So this card has been tested like so many times, and overclocked, and all kinds of stuff has been done to it, and it still performs really, really well. So still a really good card, but not quite good enough, and we're gonna upgrade it today. So what you can do, by the way, just a small tip, if you still have a hot card and you have to take it out, what you can do is you can download Afterburner. Before you then shut off your PC, just put the fan speed to 100, let it cool down, because then the fans will start spinning at full speed. Your card will cool down a bit quicker, and you should be able to be at acceptable temperatures in quite a short time.
So I can clearly hear the fan spinning.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but yeah. I mean, if you put the fans on 100%, yeah, I mean it's
bound to happen.
Yes, you're supposed to hear the fans then. Yeah. Okay, so again, before we turn off the PC, we're gonna do display driver uninstaller. It actually tells you it's better to do in safe mode, which is for various reasons, but the most important one is that I think this prevents Windows from installing drivers by itself. So I'm going to follow the advice. I'm just going to reboot to safe mode, and then I think that means that it probably also won't be able to access the internet connection. But I don't need it, because I already downloaded DDU, and then after that we can replace the card. So, see, there's people already quite a fan of Vega and Navi cards. quite happy to see them. Well, I'm also very excited to see those cards. I've not seen them. I don't know how they perform yet, but I'm just really excited. That there's a bit of competition again. I think everybody's been waiting for that. AMD needs to get back in the ring, and NVIDIA has been making some pretty damn impressive cards. The AMD traditionally has done that as well. So it's just nice to see a bit more competition. Because in the end, the gamers and the tech enthusiasts are the guys that win. All right, so now we've got DDU open, so it restarted and it opened the program already. I don't know if you can see it. No.
Nope, not yet.
Maybe it'll take a little bit longer. Yeah, we're using a capture card, so sometimes that can screw with, rebooting and stuff can screw with the signal a bit.
Might have handshake issues.
Yes, something like that. see if we can give it a kick. Nope, it's not detecting them. All right, so I might just, because I want to show you guys how to do this. So what I'll do now is I'll just restart and reboot into normal Windows. And I'll just risk it for you guys, just to, you know, not do it in safe mode. So, but then you know, the capture should be working again, and you should be able to see what I'm seeing.
By the way, I really love this case, man.
Yeah, I mean, this
fantastic.
this is
Wow.
our best case yet. And I mean, this is our second generation, pretty much, right?
There we are.
Yep. So just rebooting. So I guess the
Yep.
safe mode also kind of, you know, disables the signal to the capture card. So here we are, display driver, here we go. And I'll just launch it in the normal setting. Again, I get a warning. It's saying, you know, it's detected. I'm not in safe mode. For a better cleanup without issues, it's recommended that you reboot into safe mode. Well, I'm not going to do that right now because I want to show you guys how to do this. So once you open the program, it looks like this. Pretty basic. Here you can select what type of device you want to clean the driver. So you get audio, for example, or in this case, we're going for the GPU. And when you select the GPU, it gives you some choices of what you want to uninstall. So it could be that on this PC, because we swap around components a lot, that there's even AMD drivers on here or Intel drivers. But in this case, we're just going to wipe the NVIDIA drivers. So we're just going to select that. And then here are three options. One is clean and restart. This is sometimes when you just want to, for example, when you have problems, but you don't want to swap out your hardware, and you just want to reinstall your drivers, then that's the option for you. Because it will just wipe the drivers, restart, and then you can install the drivers you know, from a clean slate. Second option is clean and do not restart. Basically, it'll just keep your computer on. But you can expect that you will get a black screen because, you know, the display drivers are no longer detected. Your graphics card is no longer supported by the system. Yeah, that can give you trouble. The last version is specifically for installing a new graphics card. It also says it right there. And that's what we're going to do right now. If you're installing a new graphics card, that's what you should do. So clean and shut down. So it will just remove the drivers and then it will shut down. Then, of course, you can start the physical process of replacing the card. So let's do that right now. It'll also tell you, by the way, which cards were found on the system. So here we got the GTX 980. And above that, there was also a notification of an RTX 2080 Ti. So the system is now, yeah, the capture is actually already cut off, but the display driver program is now just doing its thing. It's cleaning up all the drivers, and then in a few seconds, it should be turning the PC off. But again, this is a very thorough clean. Yeah, go to the main view if you want, because I don't think the capture is going back.
Right.
So this is a very thorough clean. So what this really does is also, you know, registry keys and stuff. It's like a very thorough uninstall to make sure that nothing, no trace of the display drivers is left. Especially when you're having stability issues, this is sometimes very necessary to make sure that you get a fresh install and no problems anymore.
So
Okay.
meanwhile, let's remind our viewers to participate.
Yeah, for the giveaway.
Yeah, so join the giveaway. Go to msi.com/2/insider and
just
click the
button that says giveaway.
Yeah.
And make sure you do whatever it says, you know, like, subscribe, our stuff.
So I will post the direct link in the chat.
And then you'll have a chance to win a nice game code, or actually a $20 Steam wallet code, which is especially nice because of the ongoing Steam summer sale, of course. So you'll get extra value for your money. People are already asking for the giveaway link. All right.
Okay, so...
You want to draw the second winner already?
Should we do that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Whoa, where's my mouse? And let's start.
I have to buy. All right, Polypox is asking. I have to buy a PC for playing Fortnite and Rainbow Six Siege. Who is the better for me? Well, there's a lot of benchmarks and media that review systems. I mean, for Fortnite, graphics card is not that important. For Rainbow Six Siege, a little bit. But I think, you know, any i5 and anything up to, I mean, maybe from starting, you know, 1060, 1070, or if you want the newer generation cards, you know, I think, well, it depends on your resolution as well. You know, again, the questions I asked before, what resolution are you playing on? Is it a 4K monitor? Is it 1440p or is it full HD? On full HD, you should be able to, you know, buy a relatively entry-level model, or yeah, something with an i5, maybe a 1060, or you know, 1660, 1650 even. That should be just fine. But if you have a higher resolution, you know, you need to up your game a bit and probably go with a 1660 Ti, 2060, maybe 2070. I don't know. Just to be sure, because you know these are games where you want high FPS.
So we have a new winner,
and our new winner is
Edo. Congratulations,
Edo.
So, Edo or Edo, I don't know if I didn't pronounce it right, but you won.
You won a $20 Steam code.
Steam code, yes.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Merrick, I plan to upgrade from 2700X to 3900X, which is of course the new Zen coming up, but hoping it works well with my MSI X470 Pro Carbon. You should be fine, my dude. Really, you should be fine. That motherboard is pretty solid, so I think you should be fine. All right. So then, well, we've cleaned the drivers, right? And we've shut down the PC. So, of course, this is the card we're going to put in, which is a big, heavy, meaty card. So a couple of things we need to keep in mind. Again, that it physically fits in the PC. You know, it's quite long and it's also quite thick. So make sure we have enough slots available and enough room for the back of the card. And also that we have enough power connectors, or I think they call it PEG connectors or PCIe power connectors. Anyway, I need 3 8-pins for this one. Okay. But of course, before we do that, we need to unplug this beast as well, because this really is a beast. It's nice though, but okay, so I'll first unplug the power. Here we go. And then, of course, disconnect the display cables as well. Yeah, there you go. Display cables, there's actually still, it's quite new, this one. There's actually still some plastic here. Oh. I'm going to tease you guys a little bit with the peeling. Oh, I think somebody else has a stream planned or something where they actually want to peel this thing off. So I'm going to leave it on. But you can see, you know, 2 display cables here, 1 display port for my monitor and 1 HDMI for the capture card. So of course I need to remove them. And generally, I always recommend when people want to do something on their PC that they actually remove all the cables, because this just gives you a lot of space. You can just then move your case around. You know, you're not bound to your cables. So I'll just remove Ethernet and my peripherals. And then I'm free to just move the case around. It is a heavy one though, so because it's a really heavy build. But I'm going to see what I can do. And I'm also going to try and not touch the tempered glass, because that tends to leave fingerprints, which you have to clean off later. Okay, so once you've got the case here, now this case is actually very easy to get into, because it's got a door basically, or a panel, which is also a door. So basically, when I pull this handle, it just opens like this, and so basically I can access all the components inside. Now. Most cases I've worked with actually have like a fixed side panel. So with that, you would have like 2 screws at the back holding it in place. So you would have to undo those screws, and then you can basically just slide it off. So most of the cases will have 2 screws, undo them, and you can take off the side. In this case though, of course, very easy. And you can even take the case off, or the side panel off completely, very easily.
So that's easy.
Yep, just lift it out of the hinges, and you get full access, which is, yeah, always nice, because then you can access everything. Let's see. So that we can see the old graphics card is still in here. Like I said, it still feels nice and warm, not hot, so it's okay to touch. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to gently pull out the PCIe power connectors here. So that we've got two 8-pins, and these things can get quite stuck, especially when they're in there for a while, because it gets hot and stuff as well, and it's made out of plastic. So it can get a little bit stuck, so it might require some force, but you can gently wiggle them. You know, there's a thing you have to, like a latch you have to push, and then you can wiggle them a bit, but sometimes requires a bit of force. But now it comes out, and the second one as well. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, and you can just, you know, leave them in the case for now. It's okay, because we're going to need them later. Then, second thing, for the second part, you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver. So, and the best thing is to use a magnetic head one, because when you're unscrewing, when you're screwing something, you take the screws out, they'll just stick to the screwdriver, so you don't lose them. You know, they don't drop. And trust me, we've all been there where they just tend to go all over the place. You can ask Ja; he has experience with this. Anyway, just a little tip again, a little hint. So the next thing we need to do is, of course, take the graphics card out physically, which you need two things. You need to remember two things to do that. One is, you can see there are some screws in the back of this of the case here. Now these are called expansion slots. These ones are not used, so there's like a little placeholder here which you can take out once if you have to use them. I'll show you that later, because we need to remove one more for our lightning. But these are actually holding the graphics card in place as well. And it's very important that you use these, because that means that the card cannot really move up and down when, for example, you're transporting it. Because once I remove them, and I'll do that now, and this is a little bit awkward because normally I would be on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
But we'll manage. We'll manage. Once I remove them, you'll notice that the card, you know, I can actually wiggle the card around a bit, which is, it would still work basically if you leave it that way, but we don't recommend it. So as you can see here, you know, once you undo it,
Wiggle.
yeah, you get this kind of wiggle thing going on. Anyway, the second thing you need to do is, now the card is still, the only thing holding it in place basically is the PCIe slot on the motherboard, which is located basically, well, it's one of these slots. And there's a latch. Maybe you can see it on one that I didn't use. Can you see how close you can get? There's like a latch on the end of it here. And when you push that down, you can push that down basically. So when it's up, it'll hold whatever's in the slot in place. So it'll basically lock it. But when you push it down, it'll release. So that's the thing we're going to do now. And usually, you know, because the cooler is in the way of reaching it from the bottom, so it's usually for a graphics card best to use it to try to access it from the top. So I'll just see if I can tilt the case a little bit. So basically, I'm just looking for the latch, and there it is at the end of the PCIe slot, and then I'll just press down gently. You'll notice, you'll feel and hear a little bit of a click, and the card might actually lift free a little bit, and that just means that now it's actually, you know, very easy to take it out. And there you go. So that's the GTX 980 gaming that we were using. It's a very nice card. Didn't have a backplate, by the way. And we had some questions about bending or sagging earlier. Actually, starting from this generation, the 900 series, we had, well, some people had issues with bending indeed, because the coolers were getting a bit heavier. And basically, the cooler was only attached to the PCB. So the PCB was, you know, carrying all the weight, and it's not meant to do that. So we already started adding stuff like this anti-bending measure here, which basically connects to the PCB and the cooler to the I/O panel, which then, of course, you fix to the case. So that's extra support. And later on, especially now, these cards are way more rigid even, so there shouldn't be any bending happening at all. So I'm just gonna put this one aside, or actually, I'm just gonna grab the Lightning and I'm gonna put them side by side for you guys, also to put things into perspective. So here we go. So here's the card we just took out, and you can see it uses 2 slots. You can actually see it at the bottom. Usually it's easiest to see. So it uses 2 expansion slots. The Lightning, as you can see, uses 3. So, that's why you need to, in the end, take one more protector out of the case, or one more placeholder, because we need it to take that space. But yeah, wow, I just almost had a Linus moment there.
Wow. Edward21 asks, did you ground yourself?
Sorry, did I?
Did you ground yourself?
Did I ground myself?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I was touching the case all the time. Yeah. So, but that's very good. It's always good to do that. But I'm not, wearing one of those anti-static bracelets or wristbands or something like that. That's I mean, in the past, those things were really good and really useful. But these days, even if you have static electricity, I thought I saw a video, I'm not sure if it was Jay's 2 cents or something, who tried to, charge himself with static electricity on purpose, and then, was just touching a PC which was actually on or something, and nothing happened, I believe. I'm not sure, I didn't watch the movie, but it looked like nothing happened other than, he got a nasty shock because, the static electricity. But the PC, I think, was fine. So I think it should be okay. Lightning looks how I feel after visiting an all-you-can-eat restaurant. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's
So I Am Box is asking, is that an MSI 24-pin 90-degree adapter?
Yes. Well, actually, not an MSI one, but it is. Yeah. He's talking about this thing right here. This one, actually, if you look closely, it's a Cooler Master. It says on there. So I think our friends at Cooler Master actually provided this one, and of course we're using some Cooler Master like this, the cooler here, the liquid cooler.
And it looks very nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that allows you to, the 24 pins and actually doesn't stick out of the motherboard, 90 at a 90 degree, but it actually allows you to do a little bit better cable management to use a 90 degree adapter. So it's easier to just get rid of the cables in a better fashion, I guess. All right. So yeah, this beast. So again, guys, now we get to the part, the physical part. So again, remember, we've got 4 X16 slots, or at least, physically. I don't know which one, if they're all wired to do X16, or if some of them actually only do 8. But I always use the top one. So that's what we're going to do. And that's what the other graphics card was in as well. So we're going to use that one. But before we can do that, we're going to look at a few things. One is, can we actually fit this in this case? And a true story is that when we got this model in, I actually took it home for the weekend at some point to, do some testing and, very professional. You can understand, not for gaming and stuff, just, testing. Because I thought, I want to give this a try, I want to take this for a spin. But what happened is I apparently have a somewhat older, dated case, I guess, because this thing wouldn't fit. It was too big. There were hard drive bays in the way and stuff, and I actually considered for a moment, taking a hacksaw and just making space. But yeah, that's that shouldn't be happening. So before you get into that situation, always check the dimensions of the card and make sure that it actually fits in your case. Because nothing is worse than, especially, the bigger cards tend to be the more expensive ones, that you get it and you run up to your PC and you rip the thing open and, you try to cram it in there and it doesn't fit. That's gut wrenching. So make sure you can actually fit it into the case. Secondly, and the same thing goes for the 3 slots. some PCs are actually, they're not that wide, so they don't offer that much space, or they're not that deep. If you have an ITX, for example, ITX motherboards tend to be much shorter, so you might not have the space to accommodate 3 slots. So make sure, again, that you can fit the size. So the last thing is that, as I told you, we've got 2 expansion slots available right here, but the third one is actually still occupied by this placeholder right here. So we need 3 slots. So we need to take one out. And that is actually very easy. So again, it's just every one of these placeholders has its own screw. So you just undo the screw, and it should very easily come out, like so. There we go. It's just, again, it's just a small thing.
So meanwhile, for those who want to know, these are the specs.
Yeah.
And this is the Sakira 500X case.
Yeah. Available in better PC stores near you soon. Or something like that. So now we're going to actually fit the thing into the case. So here we go. Again, a very easy way to do this and to prevent any damage is to make sure you align the PCIe teeth, as they call them basically, or connector, with the slot, while at the same time trying to align the back, so the I/O panel, with the expansion slots, because this will help guide you a little bit and prevent you from scratching or damaging anything. And once you've got it lined up, you can gently start to apply a bit of pressure to see if it'll go in. And with heavier cards, this can be sometimes a bit more difficult, but here it already goes. And once you've got it and you press it in, you should hear an audible click, which is again the latch, which will secure it into place. So here we go. There we go. That was the click. So now it's fitted into place, but you can still see it has a lot of wiggle room. So we need to fasten the screws to the case to make sure it's nice and snug in there. So let's do that. Do you have any interesting questions in the meantime?
Let me see. Lots of reactions about the case, but
that's nice. I can understand that.
This is a VGA stream, so let me see.
Wow. We can talk about the case as well a little bit. But we don't want to spoil everything, because I think actually in a couple of weeks there's a full build coming up with this case. So somebody's going to actually build a whole PC and show you how to do cable management and stuff like that. Talk more about the fans and placement of radiators, for example. So they'll tell you all about this case.
So someone is asking, how comfortable is that chair? Well, Ja did a live stream.
I think he called it the most comfortable stream ever, right?
Yeah, he called this chair comfortable as something like that.
Yeah. Yes. So I mean that tells you. But I mean, to be fair, I don't know. Can you maybe a bit closer? There you go. So this is Robin.
Yeah.
But this chair is very. The padding is very thick, so that's one point that makes it comfortable. And it's also, it's got a lumbar pillow, so especially for Robin, and Robin sometimes has back pains.
Yep.
So he can position the lumbar pillow to support him wherever he likes it and wherever he needs it, or he can just throw it out if he's sick of it. And other than that, he can find the perfect ergonomic position, because there's a lot of the
4D armrest. So,
yes. Yeah.
Well, it moves 4 dimensions. How do you call it? Yeah.
So you can very easily put it in the exact position that you.
Very nice indeed.
Yeah. But there was a full stream about this. So if you want to know more about the chairs, yes, as a short answer, they're very comfortable. We really like them. But always with things like that, you basically have to go out and try it yourself. So I don't know if any stores have them or something, but the proof's in the pudding. Just go and sit in one, and then you'll know if it's for you or not. Okay, so we have the card in the PC, and if you go back to the close-up view, we can show. Okay, so we've also fixed the screws, as you can see here. So now the card is nice and tightly into the PC. So it won't move. Now with cards like this and the Trio, for example, we do include a VGA support. So that one actually mounts in the expansion slots below the card, and will support the card along its full length, so it will support the weight. But really, once the PC is basically just standing somewhere stationary, there's nothing that can really happen. So it's basically only during transport or something, but even then, you know, as you can see, I'm completely, you know, just bumping the case on the table now.
So the desk is shaking.
The desk is shaken, but you know, this card is quite solidly in here. So there's not that much really that can happen unless you give it, like you throw it off a building or something. But then, you know, I think you've got bigger issues. So, of course, then now we need to make sure that it can actually turn on. To do that, of course, we have PCIe power connector. So we made sure that we have enough connectors here. Actually, we have 4 of them. So as you can see, and I only need 3 of them. So let's connect them up. Here we go. And they can only fit in one way, by the way, guys. So if you're doing it wrong, you'll find out soon enough. And some of these, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's actually, sometimes you have 6-pin. This is actually the same connector. For 8-pin, you actually just have this little thingy at the side, the 2 connectors. And you have to kind of, you know, put them together like that. And sometimes during the process, this can get a bit loose. So, and then there you go, then you have 8-pin. So you have to fit them all in at the same time. There you go. Yeah, that's number 1. That's number 2. And then we're just gonna take this one because it's easier. Oh, see, this one's breaking up. And then here's number 3. There we go. And there's also a little bit of a click, so to make sure they lock into place. So now that's pretty much it for the hardware side, of course. Then you can, well, while you're in here, like I said earlier, and you see dirty stuff like dust or something like that, you can clean that off carefully, of course, just to make sure you have good airflow. You can also make changes to your setup with the fans to increase airflow. So there's a lot of things you can do. If you don't know what you're doing, best to just ask somebody for advice or let somebody do it for you. But then you can pretty much just, you know, close the case back up. And I'm not going to do that right now because I want to get straight to the part what it's all about, which is, of course, the performance. So I'm just going to, oh, this thing is heavy.
Looks heavy. Quite a big case.
Yeah, well, it is.
Of course, lots of RGB must be heavy.
Yeah, man, all the RGB weighs a ton. It's, yeah, like a literal ton. Okay, so now the card is in there. We wiped the drivers. I think we need to connect everything back up. So I'm just going to dive under the table and see if I can get all the connectors, because everything is on the floor here. All right, so again, guys, I need to remember, I need to connect these, the monitor, the display cables into the graphics card, not the motherboard. Now, luckily, this motherboard actually doesn't have HDMI or DisplayPort connectors, so I probably won't get confused. But still, I've done it before, so there's no guarantee it won't happen again. All right, so that's plugged in. Then I'm gonna plug in my peripherals, because if I don't, there's not much I can do. Here we go. And my Ethernet.
Newegg Dennis is asking, can I have your old video card?
Well, unfortunately, it's not mine, Dennis. It's from our, well, museum. You know, we keep some record of older cards, just for occasions like this, for example, where I need an older card to compare, or we need to run some tests or stuff like that. So, and also because, you know, these were awesome cards. So we keep a record of them, and these are like, this is our archive or our museum, if you will. So this one will go back in the archive in the museum after this stream, because we might and probably will need it later for some purpose.
So for the record, guys, we are monitoring the chat on many platforms.
Yeah, we are monitoring the chat on YouTube, on Twitch, on Facebook, on 3 different Twitter channels, or Periscope, of course,
Mixer,
that is,
yeah.
and on Mixer. So there's a lot of chat going on different platforms. All right, so I've connected everything up, and I've powered up the power supply unit, which has an I/O button, so it's now on the I, so it's powered. And now I can push the power button and cross my fingers that it actually boots up. And there's lights blinking and going on, so
It's alive.
that's a good sign. Indeed. So let's see if I can show you guys. There you go. You can see the inside of the case a little bit. And I'm actually expecting it to take a little bit longer now. Even see if we can even get a signal. I don't know, because just move the case a little bit to this side. Here we go. Because remember, guys, we uninstalled the drivers, so that also means that basically I'm trying to boot the PC with a brand new graphics card, but there are no drivers. So Windows probably is trying to figure out what the hell do I do with this. So it might try and install drivers by itself now, because again, we didn't use the safe mode. But regardless, I'm gonna then install some stuff of my own. So I'm gonna download the latest drivers anyway. I've got image. Here we go.
Real life.
That's not bad. Usually in my experience, when you do something like this, it's always best to just restart after booting as well. So, but there's an NVIDIA symbol there already. So that means probably Windows has installed something by itself, which enables me to use the card and I get a picture, so that's good. But it's probably not the latest version. So I can check with Afterburner, for example, and I know which is the latest version. You can look it up, but it's, what is it? 430.86. And indeed, it's installed the driver version 419.67. So it's an older version. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and install some new drivers. Now, we did this before, and just using the driver pack, it did give us an error and say that we needed to use GeForce Experience. So let's see. I mean, you know, it's a live stream. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? Yadzul. Yeah, we do read the chat. And we also sound Dutch. Yeah, we might, because we are from the Netherlands. So that's not a coincidence. Some people are asking about the RGB. Yeah, there's several things going on in this system. There is, of course, our Mystic Light platform doing its thing, and it's, you know, if you want to do the what is it, customized effects and stuff like that, you'll need the software. But in terms of hardware, you know, all the things connected to the case, there is indeed a RGB hub included with the Sakira. So, well, at least with this version of Sakira, I should say. So the 500X also has a RGB hub, or addressable RGB, ARGB, I believe it is. So, yeah, you can connect then all the, you know, RGB fans, for example, or, you know, other stuff that's RGB capable, other hardware. We get an error indeed. And, you know, then you can link everything together, make it sync up with the effects, which is nice. So, because, you know, if everything does its own thing, you know, all the little components do their own little RGB dance, then, you know, that could drive you insane. So it's better to sync it up. Even though, of course, the graphics card is kind of doing its own thing right now, but that's okay. Because it's a Lightning, you know, we'll forgive it for that. But it still needs to be synced up, I think. Right. So just for the people who didn't see it, we were asked to use GeForce Experience instead of directly installing the drivers. I'm gonna have to see, yeah, basically. I think I'm gonna have to actually log in or something. Let's see if I can find the login details, because I actually don't know them by heart.
Meanwhile, maybe
yes.
Let's draw another winner.
Good time.
Yeah?
Yes, good timing.
Okay, so guys, just to let you know, we have a giveaway to win a Steam code. And you can participate by going to msi.com/2/insider and participate by clicking on the button. Or I will post the direct link to the Gleam URL. So, okay, let's draw another winner.
Yes.
Let me see. And we have another winner. So, okay, so I have no nickname. The winner is Tony McCannally. So, Tony, congratulations. You won the giveaway code. And guys, as I said, just participate. And maybe you win another code.
Yeah. Congratulations. All right, so yeah, congratulations to the winner, Tony. I hope you get some nice games out of it or some nice DLC. In the meantime, I've managed to log in to GeForce Experience. So if you want, you can go back to the capture.
Yep,
and then
sure.
All right, so as you can see, we're logged in now. Unfortunately, this is one of the things I kind of dislike, I guess, about GeForce Experience, that you have to log in to be able to use it. It used to be that you could use it even without an account, but yeah, now I guess you have to do it. Anyway, so it'll tell you in the driver section if you have new drivers available. In this case, yes. So we'll just download them. This will take just a little while. I don't know. Our internet connection here is not that fast, so it'll take just about 2 minutes. But let's let it run for a second. Yeah, and in the meantime, maybe you guys have any questions or other remarks or something, things you want to know. Just download DCH version, it will work. There's an option on video page when downloading. Well, I read it too late, Edward, but thanks for the hint. Maybe, you know, if this doesn't work, if this gives errors, I'll try that.
Let's first try the basic way.
Yeah. Let's first try the way that, you know, NVIDIA says it should be. So, I mean, this should work.
It just works.
It should just work. Yeah. True. Very true. Yeah, good point. Nomad Ninja on over on Mixer is saying, pay attention. NVIDIA has game-ready and creator-ready drivers. That's correct. So the game-ready they've had for a while, which, you know, includes profiles, optimized profiles for the games to optimize the performance a little bit. But I think like a few months ago or something, or a month ago, they started offering creator-ready drivers, which is the same thing basically, but then tailored to optimize performance for creator programs. So yeah, don't get those mixed up, because I don't know if the creator-ready drivers are as good for gaming as well. So we'll have to check.
I am Box. Are you guys excited for
7.7?
Oh,
hell yeah! Hell yeah! I mean, come on. If you're in the tech world and you're not excited for this event, you know, for this day, you're in the wrong sector, my dude. Then you know you're in the wrong sector. So yes, hell yes, we're excited. But you know, it also means a hell of a lot of work for us. So, but you know, it's the work we love. And you know, we're already planning. You know, I can maybe after that I can do some streams to look at the performance with you guys. So yeah, it's always nice to do that. Right. So I'll just go ahead and install the drivers. So how about you guys? Are you guys excited for the 7th of the 7th for Navi cards? And well, what are you more excited for? Anyway, I'm really curious. Are you mostly excited about the new Ryzen CPUs coming up and the new motherboards, of course? Or are you more excited about Navi? Or even more excited about new NVIDIA cards coming? So what do you think? What are you waiting for? What are you most excited about? Right, Ironbox is already saying he's excited for Navi. Okay.
Many are.
Yeah, it's you know, long time coming, right?
Well, me too, actually.
Yeah?
As a former ATI fanboy,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're openly coming out.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Yeah, fair enough.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long
true.
time.
Yeah. I mean, I've had both NVIDIA and AMD cards, and to be fair, you know, both have made very good products in the past already, and you know, we can only hope that that both of them just deliver the maximum and the best experience that they can, and at the best value as well. 7.7, how to install your new AMD GPU and motherboard? Yeah, maybe. New Egg Dennis, maybe. Zen 2. A lot of people are excited for Zen 2 and Ryzen 3rd Gen, which is very understandable. Yeah, because I mean, to be honest, that's also a very impressive feat that they're pulling off there. You know, they're really, they're really. I don't want to say beating Intel, but at least giving them a really good run for their money here. And you know, it's a really good alternative to Intel as well. I mean, Intel processors themselves have always been pretty good in my experience. But you know, it's great to see AMD having some good GPUs and or CPUs and motherboards now as well. Yes. And of course, they're the first to support PCIe 4, which is again a big step, you know. And in terms of graphics cards, I don't think you're going to notice it yet. You know, again, even if you have a times 8 slot, you're probably okay with the current graphics cards. But who knows what the future will bring? You know, it's more bandwidth, and if anything, if we've seen anything, when more bandwidth is made available, they will find ways to use it. That's how it works.
It might be more future-proof.
Yeah. Maybe. But in terms of storage, for example, you know, M.2 storage devices, SSDs, those will be able to use. I don't know if they'll be able to use the full potential of PCIe Gen 4, but they'll at least be a lot faster already than the current Gen 3. So yeah, I mean, there's already some benefits to be had. Okay, then MSI Afterburner. Now we can see we've got the latest driver version, which is great. It's telling us we've got the Lightning Z there. Hell yeah. I think we're ready to go. So let's start up the Super Precision benchmark. Remember, guys, the score that the 980 had was 2600 with an average FPS of about 19.5, right? So again, we're going to select the same preset, 1080p Extreme. And we've got a hell of a lot more VRAM to play around with. So after this, we could even do like a 4K or 8K optimized. But let's just run this and see, you know, for the sake of comparison, we upgraded it. What do we get? It's actually still Direct3D 11, it's telling us. That's interesting. Oh, wow. I thought it was 12. Yeah. Maybe I can select that somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, we can already see here that the FPS is 81 compared to, again, you know, the other one barely reached 20. It was almost reaching 20 on average. But we haven't reached the end yet, so there's still some ways to go. So let's see how it does. Newegg Dennis is saying, I kind of want to see what Intel's GPU will be like. I think a lot of people are interested to see that.
I hear some fans blowing.
Yep.
Big time.
The lightning is being put to work now. But as you can see, the temperature is just under 70 degrees. So that means that, you know, basically the fans just started spinning now.
And it's fast as lightning, it seems.
Yeah, I greased the lightning. Okay, we already get a score from Edward, who's using a 2080 Gaming X-Trio on 1080p Extreme. His score was 7,646. That's
quite nice.
That's already quite a bit higher than the 2600 we had on the 980. But hold my beer. or hold my graphics card. Because I'll be damned if this lightning doesn't do better. And it's 2080 Ti to boot, so it should beat your score.
But is Edward's score?
I don't know. Maybe here's the thing: if you exactly if you overclocked it with, I don't know, liquid cooling or whatever, you could get some pretty damn high scores as well. So this is, you know, with the stock air cooling, and you know, we didn't overclock the card, anything. This is just basically stock out of the box speeds on the lightning. So we've got a couple more scenes to go. We're on 13 out of 17 right now. Yes, Nomad Ninja. The baseline is 2600. That was the score for the GTX 980.
Imagine going from a 1050 to a 2080 Ti.
Yeah. I think that's actually an even bigger jump from going from the 980 to the 2080 Ti Lightning Z. I think that the 1050 is slower than a 980 by quite a bit. So yeah, that will be an even bigger jump. All right, here we go.
Wow,
9,270. Well, Edward, I think, you know, if we do some overclocking and we really give it all we got, then probably we could break 10,000, 10K. We should be able to, yeah. But I mean, you know, so this is basically the performance increase you can expect. So again, the 980 had 2600 score with an average FPS of just under 20. This thing has an average FPS of just under 70. You know, that's, what is it? Almost 4x the performance. And yeah, I mean, nice meme, Christian.
Many comments.
It's over 9,000.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
He knows his memes.
All right. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the basics of it. So yeah, I hope I covered most of it. Do you guys have any questions left? If you want, what I can do is I can try some basic overclocking and see if we can get the score up a little bit more. And then in the meantime, we can check if you guys have any questions. Should we do that?
Let's do that. Okay.
Because we have a little bit of time left. So let's do some quick and dirty overclocking. Again, I don't have any like extreme profiles loaded or something. So this is just, you know, off the top of my head that I'm trying to do.
Lavrel Music says, do it.
All right. All right, just gonna unlock everything.
Young Ronnie, what about 1066 gig? What about it, Ronnie?
Yeah, what do you want to know? Let me just quickly. By the way, guys, if you're going to do overclocking and you can't be bothered to do manually iteration overclocking, trying bit by bit. You can do the automatic overclocking, of course, but that will also still take a while. What I'm doing right now is even more easy. I'm just looking up a media review who has been doing some overclocking to get some baseline numbers of what kind of results they were able to get. And that's pretty much what I will put in with overclocking the graphics card. The values that I'll put in myself, and then I'll see if this card can handle those values as well. So that would be 120 plus on the core clock and about 1275 on the memory. So 120 on the core clock and 1275. Hey, here we go. And 1275 on the memory. And I mean, fan speed, we'll just let it be auto. We've put everything on 100%, the core voltage, power limit, all the stuff like that. Actually, we should probably, I don't know if this will force it to have this voltage.
So Ronnie is asking, how much better would it be? I think he means the 1060 over the 980. Not the other way around, not downgrading from the Lightning.
If I remember correctly, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, actually. You'll have to look it up. It's very easy. If you look up 1060 reviews, you'll be very easily able to find how fast it is in comparison to the 980. I can do it for you. So GTX 1060 6GB review. And then, because probably, for example, I think Hardware Info does a lot of these things, but I don't know, Tom's Hardware. And this is like the stock version. But let's see what they say. I need some benchmarks. So, hello. Yes, benchmarks. 1060 compared to, well, it depends on the game, of course, but in general, 1060 6 gig is just a little bit slower than a 980. So there's not a huge difference. And again, it depends per game, but overall, yeah, it's a little bit slower than the 1060 6 gig is just a little bit slower than the 980. But it does have a little bit more memory, so it depends. If you plan on, some 1440p, you're probably going to need something a bit higher, or just use the highest settings in the game with the best looking textures, for example, HD textures. I think you're going to notice the increased VRAM capacity of the 1066 gig there. Anyway, enough of the chat. Let's do another benchmark. So again, 1080p Extreme graphics API DirectX. We've overclocked the card a fair bit. So here you can see 120 on the core clock and 1275 on the memory. And let's see what this does. And I've put everything on the highest value. So if this thing forces the voltage, this card will probably shut down. But we'll see what happens.
You're really doing a number on it, right?
Well, I'm trying to push it. Yeah.
Number.
Yeah. Well, I'm not 100% sure anymore what BIOS is in this card. So if it's the extreme overclocking BIOS, that probably means it's going to force the voltage all the way up, which means that it's probably going to shut down because that's way too high. And that might be what we're seeing here. Because I think it should have started already. So
it might fly away out of the case.
No, it's not flying away, but then it'll just crash. Because it will just say, nope, that's too much. Yeah, I think this is pretty well crashed for now. So let's see if we can get back. All right. I think I'll just reduce these because I think these are the culprits. Actually, just put them on 0, which should be fine, which is the default value. Well, yes.
Instant crash.
Yeah.
Rust in peace.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Waiting fire coming up.
No. It's not that. It's not quite that bad, guys. And again, even if you do like ludicrous things like this, these cards have a lot of security measures, that you can't really damage them. So pretty much one of the worst things that'll happen is it'll crash. The display driver will reset. It'll probably revert back to stock values. And then, it'll work again. I don't know if it's gonna take. I think it's crashed again. It might have done. I might have needed to reboot. Well, luckily this stream wasn't about overclocking. We can't get it to work. Yeah, there's like 100 people saying, oh, "Don't worry, just send it to me. I'll make it work. Don't worry." I think usually it's best after a crash like this to reboot the system. So,
yep, reboot and reshoot.
Exactly. So let's just reboot for a second. So I do want to see, with some basic overclocking, if we can get closer to the 10K mark. That would be nice. At least before we end the stream, But it's been a while. It's been like almost half a year or something since I did the stream where I did actually do some overclocking with Lightning. But it feels so long ago, basically, that I really can't remember like the values and what exactly I did back then. But you guys can go back and watch that stream. I think we had some pretty nice results there as well. But I know the memory on these cards overclocks like a beast, and the GPU itself requires some more extreme cooling if you really want to get to dizzying heights. All right.
So can't you try the automatic overclock function, the OC scanner?
Yeah, but it will take like 10 to 15 minutes for it to figure out. Yeah, that's the thing. So it's a bit boring.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, no, let's not do that. So let's just up the power limit, temp limit, and put in some suggestions. Let's try 100 megahertz on the core clock, and I don't know, 1,000 on the memory. And the core voltage, let's just up it a bit, like 50% or something. Nothing too extreme. And let's run superposition again. 1080p, nope, extreme. Run. All right, fingers crossed, guys. Go getting 20K. No, I probably won't reach that. All right, that's better. Okay, I can already see, I think about like 4 FPS increase. I think it crashed. But this is the whole thing about overclocking, you give it a try, and apparently right now the card doesn't really feel like it. Might also be because there's like multiple displays connected. I don't know, it might be messing with it. Or it might be that, we're just out of luck and this one doesn't overclock too well, at least not on air. But usually in my experience, the ones that don't overclock too well on air do that much better when, you do extreme overclocking.
So do we feel like doing a giveaway?
Yeah, let's do one more.
Yeah.
And then I think we're done. RIP, indeed.
Okay, then let's draw another winner.
Yep.
Okay, so we have another winner, and his nickname is Masquerade. Masquerade?
Masquerade? Masquerade.
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 Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
You also win a $20 Steam wallet code, and have fun spending it with the Steam summer sales. Should be nice. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for joining, guys. I hope we answered most of your questions. I hope this stream was useful for you if you're looking to upgrade your graphics card. You don't really know how to do it. Again, at the beginning of the stream, we covered the steps you should consider before even buying a card to prevent buying something that in the end either doesn't fit your system or doesn't give you the performance that you would like it to do. So make sure you make an informed decision, and then after that, just follow the steps, and it's usually pretty easy to physically replace the card and get it to work. So yeah, next week, we're going to be diving into ray tracing a bit more. Yeah, because but here's the thing: with Nvidia's announced something new coming up. Navi is coming. At the moment, at least, Navi. They say that it doesn't support ray tracing, but it does seem that more and more games, especially like Cyberpunk, the big titles are supporting it. And also, Nvidia released a nice game, old game, like it was Quake 2 RTX. So it's and the first 3 levels, I think, is like a free demo. But that lets you play around with all kinds of effects in the ray tracer. You can really see in detail what each little thing does, what the effect is, both on performance, on FPS, but also in the visual effect. And there's also multiple ways of doing ray tracing. So we're going to be diving into that a bit and seeing what we can find and seeing, playing around with it in Quake 2 RTX to show you guys the differences, and also see if we can answer any of your questions you might have about RTX. I mean, we might not have the answer, but it might be an interesting stream to do, because it does seem that ray tracing is the next big thing, because even AMD is saying that they are working on supporting it. So it does seem that no matter if you're on the Nvidia side or on the AMD side of things, ray tracing is going to be a thing. And let's be honest, I mean, the first games that support it are always, the first games that supported 3D or that did 3D, look back at them now. They look like, all right, really, that's not better than the 2D, pretty much. It's all about the new technology. And, some of these games are now already looking pretty spectacular. So, if anything, it's going to give us a lot more eye candy in the future. But I think all of us really hope that it's going to be able to do that without a significant performance impact or with a significant price premium. So, with normal cards, with a normal doable price, that you'll be able to do it as well. So but it has to start somewhere, and the start has been made. So let's see where it brings us, and let's dive in next week, see what we can find. All right, guys, so thank you for joining. Congratulations to the winners of the Steam codes, and see you guys next week.
Okay, bye-bye.
Ciao.